All right, so we are being asked to write the equation of a line with a slope of 3 passing through the point 2, 5. Now remember, our equation of a line is written in the form y equals mx plus b. The m represents slope. The b represents the y-intercept, so where it crosses the y-axis. X and y represent the x and the y values on the graph, so our independent and our dependent variable. So that's what x and y represent. When we make our table of values, it's the same x and y's that we see on the table of values. That's what x and y represent. It's the x and y that we see on the graph. That's what they are. And then this is our slope, our rise over run. This is our y-intercept. So if we're trying to write the equation given this slope and given this point, what we can do is identify the fact that this is our slope, this is our m value, and this point is a coordinate on the graph, which means that this is the x value and this is the y value of the coordinate. So on the x-axis it goes 2, and on the y-axis it goes to 5. So that's our coordinate. The only thing that we need to know when writing an equation is we need to know the slope and we need to know the y-intercept. X and y stay variables in our equation. In this case, we are given the slope, but we don't know the y-intercept. However, we do have this coordinate, so what we can do is we can substitute the m, the x, and the y, and we can use those values to solve for b. So that's what I'm going to do. Instead of y, I'm going to write 5. Instead of m, I'm going to write 3. And instead of x, I'm going to write 2. B, I don't know, so I'm going to keep it a variable. Now, like we did a couple weeks ago, I'm going to solve this equation. I'm going to solve and find out what value of b I can substitute to make a balance. So 3 times 2 is 6. So I can write 6 in there. And then to solve for b, I need to get rid of the 6. So I'm going to subtract 6 from both sides, because in this case it's positive. So to get rid of it, I'm going to subtract it. Now, you have different strategies for solving equations. I'll probably do it differently every time just to show how there's different ways of doing it. But so if we subtract 6 from both sides, 6 minus 6, that gets rid of it. 5 minus 6 is -1. So -1 equals b, or I can write b equals -1. Oh. You can switch the order there. That's okay. So now, in my equation, y equals mx plus b, I can replace the m and the b with the m and the b that I know. So instead of m, I'm going to write 3. And instead of b, I'm going to write -1. So I've replaced the m and the b, and that's my equation. Here I need to write the equation of a line with a slope of -1/2 passing through point -4, 7. So again, I have my equation, y equals mx plus b. So I know that my slope is -1/2. And my x and my y values are -4 and 7. So that's what I'm going to replace in the equation. My y is 7. M is -1/2. X is -4 plus b. I don't know what b is. Here I have a whole number and a fraction. I know I said we wouldn't focus on fractions. These are just the only type of question I decided to throw in because it's a simple operation, and if we get rid of fractions altogether, that would really limit us. So in this case, we're multiplying a fraction by a whole number. So what we do is we multiply the numerators. So to multiply a fraction, remember every whole number has a denominator of 1. So we multiply the numerators, then we multiply the denominators. So -1 times -4 is 4. Everything else I copy. And 4 divided by 2 is 2. And I made all of the equations so that it'll simplify to a whole number just to make things easier, but I do expect you to understand at least this part. It'll always simplify to a whole number. So now I am isolating for b. I'm trying to solve and find what b is, so I'm going to bring the 2 over to the other side. Here it's +2, so on the other side it'll be -2. And 7 minus 2 is 5. So that means my b is 5. I know my m from up there is -1 over 2. So I can write my equation. Y equals m, which is -1 over 2, x plus b, which is 5. And that's my final answer.